Welcome, everyone. My name is Ann Dwyer. I'm a program manager with McMaster Continuing Education, and I'm very pleased to co-host today's session alongside of CPA Ontario. I would like to acknowledge and recognize that McMaster Continuing Education is located on the traditional territories of the Mississauga and Haudenosaunee lands and protected within the lands by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. At this time, I would like to invite my co-host for today, Robin Clark, a career partnership specialist working specifically with internationally educated professionals, who's been with CPA since December of 2022. Robin brings over 7 years of recruiting experience to the role in both local and international settings. Acting as the face of CPA Ontario student recruitment, Robin fosters and builds relationships with external stakeholders, delivers information about CPA Ontario to students, and uses strategic methods to optimize the exposure of the CPA designation. Robin?
Thank you so very much, and welcome to everyone to our Roundtable with CPAs. It's really a pleasure to be here. It's always good to be in a space where we have like-minded professionals. I'm seeing quite a number of persons have logged into the event, so on behalf of CPA Ontario, a special welcome. Today, the focus is really not on me. It's not really on anyone else other than the CPAs, right? They are here today to share about their roles and responsibilities and their stories and their trajectory into becoming CPAs. We have with us Roger, who has been a CPA for quite some time. We have Pragya, who has been a CPA for over a year. So you're getting a wide stretch of expertise and persons who have been moving businesses forward for quite some time. So I'll start the discussion by just asking the CPAs to introduce himself and herself within about less than 3 minutes. And then after that, I'll begin my conversation with Roger. So Roger, then Pragya.
Thank you, Robin, for that brief introduction, and welcome everyone on this beautiful Wednesday. I'm pleased to be here with you. So my name is Roger Ramkisoon. I've been a CPA for 12 years, 11 into my 12th year. I work in public sector, and I did get into this because I didn't like it, but I was really good at it. And then I forced myself or trained my mind to like something that I was really, really good at. I work in a police service. I do have portfolios in HR and finance and IT, and I have been doing that now for quite some time. So with that in mind, I look forward to having good conversations with you today, and by all means, connecting with some of you offline once we are through with this webinar today. So I'll turn it over back to Robin.
Okay, thank you very much, Roger. Pragya?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, I guess. And it's pleased to meet you all. I can't see you, but hope everyone is doing great. And I come back from India. I was born and raised there. I completed my chartered accountancy in India, and then I worked for 3 years, almost 3 years in Deloitte. And then I worked for a multinational FMCG for 2 years. And then I moved to Canada. After coming here, I saw how the market is, and Indian CA was well recognized here. But to get a job or to hold a good position, what I was dreaming for, CPA was required, I guess. And then I enrolled for the course, and simultaneously I got a job. So along with that, I studied, and last year I became a CPA. Like, it's exactly 1 year I was done with my exams and started counting on results. So it still gives me some chills because, it was like 6 years break for me when I started studying again. So it's kind of tough call to go back to that phase and give like 6-7 hours daily of your time to studies. But yeah, everything turned good. And well, when we talk more later in this 1.5 hour session, you'll get to know more about what is CPA, how it brought changes in my working environment and everything. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you so very much, Pragya. It's always good when we see fresh CPAs. It means that the pipeline is there. It means that the CPA designation is being valued by companies, right? So, and as was said, I think by Roger and by Pragya, that the CPA designation, of course, is stamp of approval. If you want to go to heights of leadership, then you need your designation. And I see Amos has joined us. Welcome, Amos. So we have started. So we just want you to introduce yourself for 3 minutes. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your role, and anything that you feel that we should know before we begin the actual conversation. And how we're going to do it today, I'm going to start with Roger, then I go to Pragya, then I have conversations with you, okay? All right, so go ahead, Amos.
Thank you, Robin. And can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I apologize for being late. I got a little held up, but I was rushing to get here. So my name is Amos, and I'm a CPA in Canada and CPA in Kenya. I've been doing this for about 13 years. I used to do public accounting for about 10 of those years with KPMG, PwC, before I transitioned into a not-for-profit healthcare insurance company. So what I do as a finance manager with the not-for-profit, it's called HEROC, is we do serve healthcare organizations across the country, providing liability insurance for doctors, nurses, midwives, and such, and a bit of property, just covering property damage. My role usually is about just doing that financial reporting and more of guiding than doing budgeting for all the many entities that I have. Yeah, so my journey has been from Kenya, Rwanda, Jamaica before I came here. So I've moved a few countries. And I am a pretty good person with IFRS. And I'm gonna stop there on the introduction.
Okay, thank you so very much, Amos. So Amos is a global business person, right? He has been moving all over the place, and I'm happy that you spent some time in my home country, Jamaica. Really, really good. And as I said before, just the wide range of expertise and experience among our CPAs is just quite compelling and really inspiring. So I'm going to start the conversation with Roger, and Roger is a Chief Administrative Officer. And I want, Roger, if you want to just start out by telling us who is a Chief Administrative Officer working in the police services. You're muted, Roger.
You would think that after 4 years you would get this by now. It always happens, right? Thank you for that, Robin. So Roger Amkisoon, as I mentioned at the top of the hour, I am the CAO, or Chief Administrative Officer for Police Service in Ontario. I'm out in the east, so I'm not in Niagara region where you guys are. So generally, this role is the most senior civilian within a police service in that we manage everything on the financial arm. We manage everything in human resources and everything I2, so what we would call everything non-core policing. And that's all of the support functions that make a police service function well, but also ensure that we continue to provide the service to community as we are required to under the Comprehensive Police Services Act 2019. So that's what the role is. So I'll just take a little step back, Robin, just to talk about how I got here. So as I mentioned, I hated accounting, but I was really, really good at it. And when I came to Canada, I had already come with a master's in finance, but like the others who just spoke before me, the stamp of the stamp of approval is really that CPA designation. If you don't have it, you will find yourself struggling to get anywhere within the Canada framework in terms of leadership roles. So I quickly enrolled in CPA, and my specialty in that framework would really be, I would say, municipal government and on the nonprofit side. So I have significant experience in both the nonprofit and the municipal, or what we call local government sector. When I was done with CPA, I got a little bit bored, so I did my certified human resources leader, and then I did my LLM about 2 years ago. So that propelled my career into the role that it is today, having that sort of really broad portfolio in terms of a really diverse portfolio. So you would know that I support diversity. I even supported in my own professional career because of the academic background that I had. So that's kind of what we do in my role. It's a very broad portfolio. We focus on the relationship between finance and HR and law. And as CPAs will know, everything has a cost. You decide to terminate somebody, there's a cost to it. You're doing training, there is a cost to it. You have to fire somebody, there's a cost to it. You want to do any sort of mentoring or any kind of program, there is always a cost to it. So for me, it made sense tweaking a CHRL and a LLM on top of my CPA so I could be academically what I would call complete. So that's the answer to that question, Roman. What does a CA do? What the role entails? It differs a little bit depending on if you're in hospital system or the municipal government or police service, but ideally that's the framework of what the role entails.
Okay, and it's a very comprehensive role. I think you mentioned IT, HR, and finance.
Yep.
And I'm wondering, what do you enjoy the most about this role, Chief Administrative Officer?
No 2 days are the same. Because if you work in any role facing the public, you know that today you may have someone coming in with issue number 1, and then tomorrow it's not the same issue again. So for me, the diversity of the role keeps me on my toes, but it keeps me motivated. And what I like about it more is that I can make the connection. So I'm not speaking in just silos. So I can make the connection between an HR issue, but I could also go back and say, well, fine, we want to train these folks, but here's what this is going to cost us. Because at the end of the day, if we don't have the budget to do the training, we just can't do it. Or maybe you have to scale it back or defer it or those kinds of decisions. So for me, it allows me to see not just the siloed decision, but really broader decisions, the impact of those silos decision and how we could tweak those silos to really align with strategic goals and objectives.
Mhm. Thank you so very much. And I'm wondering too, you are in this role as a chief, at the top of your profession, but I'm wondering, before you got there, what did that look like in terms of some of the challenges, some of the professional challenges that you may have encountered while being a newcomer to Canada?
Well, this is a safe space, and I would go with the assumption that this is in fact a safe space. As a person coming in from the English-speaking Caribbean, from a visible and minorities perspective, you always see these jobs or these really senior jobs as the prize. How do you get to the prize? And one of the things I've always done, Robin, was to see myself as equal. And I always use my strengths to showcase who I am rather than allowing what I look like be the reason why I get something. For me, I like to treat everybody as equal. And I think having those strengths, I can come to the table and say, well, you know what? My strengths are X, Y, and Z. So I go to an interview, I focus on those. And I think that has helped me in my own professional career to get to the top of what we call the professional ladder. And that's something that I would encourage anybody to do. Focus on what they bring to the table as opposed to what they don't bring. And I think we have to use those strengths to our advantage.
Yes, I would fully agree. And I remember doing a roundtable too with the Leadership for Black Women. And one of the things that came out, I remember two of the CPAs saying that when you are a CPA, regardless of your skin color, regardless of your accent, regardless of where you're from in the world, the CPA designation helps to remove all of those systemic issues because no one can now, question your competence, right? You are a
Correct.
chartered professional accountant, you have all those technical skills, you have those enabling competencies, so you're able to add value. And I'm wondering, in your role, you do have other areas. You mentioned you did something in HR, you did something in IT, but I want to zoom in a little bit more on the CPA designation and probably, how does it help you to actually add value or to accomplish your, operational objectives or your business objectives?
It's the fact that, it's easy as the fact that I can put CPA behind my name. People respect you differently because they know that you're speaking from a position of knowledge, not power. So we're not gonna use the negative innuendos. We're not speak because let's just be clear about it. I have positional rank. I'm the most senior civilian. I report directly to my chief. So I do have that hierarchy within the organization, but let's leave that out now. But having the CP allows me to bring that level of authority to the information that I'm presenting so that when I speak, people will say, okay, yes, he knows what he's speaking about. It's just like, Robin, if you go to a doctor and you speak to a doctor, you could say, yes, that doctor knows what he's speaking about. So take that in financial terms now. When I go to my board, when I present on the budget, I could say, well, you know what, we can't afford 10 staff, but we probably could meet the objectives with 8 because we can't afford it, and here is the data to support those decisions. So it's not just me coming with a decision or coming with a recommendation. It's me coming with a recommendation, but with also the evidence base. And I like to be evidence based with the evidence to support those decisions. So to me, having the information in my back pocket, but also having the qualifications and the knowledge and the abilities to translate the recommendation into dollars and cents, because very early in your CPA road, you will learn about qualitative versus quantitative decision making, right? And you can't make one to me without the other, because people always ask, well, what's the back end? And again, I work in public sector where we can't always worry about dollars. We have to worry about the community and the community impact. So there isn't always a value to that. So I have to focus on both. And having that designation really allows me to showcase my strengths, but also I'll add a little bit of authority from a academic standpoint to the information that I am presenting compared to somebody, let's say, who doesn't have a designation. It's easier for the public to question, well, does he have the educational background and the knowledge or the experience to be able to just sell me this information? And to me, just those three letters gives me that edge over somebody who doesn't.
Yes, and so the designation does bring a certain level of legitimacy,
Yes.
respectability, and of
Yes.
course, I've been in sessions too where CPAs say sometimes they're even called into meetings that they're not supposed to be a part of because, of course, they're not in this department, they're not in that department. But the mere fact that they're a CPA, they're being called into these sessions. I'm seeing a question here in the Q&A, and I want to bring it in as part of the conversation about if I were to begin my CPA designation in 2025, if you were to speculate, what do you think would be some of the challenges that persons who may not, they're internationally educated professionals, they're international students, what could be some of those perceived challenges?
I like the word that you put in there, Robin. It's perceived challenges. And a lot of times when we come into a country from a different place, we tend to create barriers, and that's human nature, without even realizing that those barriers aren't exist. So I get it, there might be economic barriers in terms of affordability and those. So leaving those out now, I don't see that they're academic barriers if you really wanted this. I came to Canada. I was an immigrant permanent resident, and I focused on the prize, and the prize was to become a leader in my area. And I removed all those, I'm not talking about the financial barriers, those barriers in my mind to get there. So to me, unless you're talking about some of the economic barriers like affordability and so on, which I'm not going to go into, to me, the barriers would be really personal. So you have to be able to manage your time. You have to be able to give your commitment. You have to be focused on those. And if you're a person that struggles with time management, struggles with discipline, then I would say those are the challenges. Outside of that, now I do recognize that you may become a CPA, and I mean I'm being honest here, it's a safe space. Um, People become CPAs and sometimes they don't take the time to do extra learning, those additional courses that you may not find within the program, but that'll help you become a leader as well. Because it's not just about knowing the debits and credits. It's not just about knowing the technical stuff. You become a finance leader, you have to learn how to deal with people. You have to learn about inclusive policies. How do you because we even talk about finance in EDI in finance, how can you make budgets more EDI centric? So it's not just about doing it strictly from a dollars and cents space. You really have to open up your mind to how you can embed those principles within CPA. And for anybody who is just closed-minded to just the technical aspects of the CPA would probably struggle at the I would say financial analyst level. They would probably struggle to get to those leadership type roles, simply because they over focus on the technical aspects of it. So I would say once you get your CPA designation, now your next step has to be learning those what we call basic non-technical competencies that would help you become a leader. Because to be a leader, you have to have the core competencies, which is the technical ones, and also the soft skills, the non-core competencies behind your name as well. So A lot of us, we focus on just the core ones, but then we have to take that next step because, and that could be the challenge in growth. And I've seen it in my own network. I have a lot of CPAs, even people with MBAs and so on, but they're just struggling to get to the manager, the director levels. And when we look at the resumes, it's because they're so heavily focused on the dollars and cents or the technical aspects that they really struggle to get into those leadership type competencies that you require at this level.
Thank you so very much. Very comprehensive answer. And one of the things too that I hear coming out, and I think we've mentioned too in different parts of your answer, is that there will be difficulties, and any person who's going to tell you that the road is going to be easy would be lying. I came as an international person myself, and I faced a whole range of issues. But I also know that CPAs usually recommend, as Roger is saying, that networking is important. And networking, sometimes people think is just a term, but it actually works. It actually works. If you're connecting yourself to the right people, it will work. Usually I say, surround yourself with a circle of success, people who will lift you up and will give you those opportunities, right? And also to attach yourselves to your community. So I'm Jamaican, I'm Caribbean. Once I came here, I made sure to get in touch with Jamaicans, made sure to get in touch with people from the Caribbean. And the last thing I'll say, in addition to what Roger said, I met a young lady who was, when I told her the word networking, she was like, oh, I don't believe in networking, don't believe in networking. 2 weeks later, I saw her posting on LinkedIn, oh, I reached out to John Tom and he invited me to a coffee chat and he helped me to get a job. And I sent her a message and I said, there you go. That's networking working, right? So it's really good that you make mention of that, Roger. It's really, really a compelling
and just
point.
quickly before you move on, and I'll just take 10 seconds. Network is important, but you also, and I know a lot of newcomers struggle with this, but you also have to network outside of your circles, because you will find yourself only within a circle. And sometimes, and kudos to you, yes, you want to come into Canada and you want to get familiar with your own, and that's okay. But sometimes you may not find the answers and the avenues and the pathways within your circle. So you really have to be deliberate about going outside of those community circles as well. So I'll turn it back to you, Robin. That's my last comment on that.
Yes, thank you so very much, Roger. And is there any before I go over to Pragya, I'm wondering if there's any last parting words or thoughts that you want to leave with the audience before we kind of open up the session at the end. But I'm going to go over to Pragya. But I'm just wondering if you have any last, advice.
Yeah, take it in baby steps. CPA is very, very doable. Focus, don't focus on how many courses you have left to do. Celebrate them in incremental wins. You do a course, go outside and get a drink or whatever it is you do for social fun. You will see how quickly you will get there. I started my CPA in 2010, and 2.5, 3 years I was done because I push, but I did it in baby steps. I didn't try to do 2 courses at one time. I did one every term. So it was so by the end of 2 years, I was done 8, and then I was on to prep at the time, or PA1 and PA2. So I would say create small incremental steps, but don't focus on the barriers. Focus on the prize. And that's the parting words that I have for you on the group.
Very good words. Focus on the prize. Yes. And as I go over to Pragya, who's a senior analyst in finance, I'm wondering, Pragya, what does your role look like? What is involved? What does a typical day look like?
Okay. So it's kind of a lot of things mixed together, like starting with I have weekly, monthly dashboards to prepare. So as a financial analyst, you just don't do like regular accounting or, just doing month-end activities. It is a more versatile role. So if you are someone who is really interested in numbers and playing with charts and everything, and like try to understand that how a P&L looks like for a company, especially if you are in a consumer based company. So you're not just dealing with one product, you are dealing with like, I don't know, 50, 60 SKUs, and a monthly report you are preparing, you are dealing with all the brands. So it is kind of a very wholesome role where you kind of interact with people, all your sales team, your marketing team, because you can just go and question them. Your forecast said this number, and your sales is very very low compared to that. So the reasons for the same. So this was just a gist, but yeah, my daily work looks like I have a lot of analysis to do, which can come on ad hoc basis. I have regular analysis to do even. So preparation of weekly and monthly P&L for reviews, and that I directly discuss with my director and the finance head sitting in US. So that's kind of nice because at the end, the topmost people are interested in the numbers, like, how it is looking, how it is flowing. And CPA helped me in that journey a lot because I was a CA. If I was working as a CA here, I would have easily gotten an accountant role or something, but I could not have climbed up ladders. So I started as a financial analyst, then I became senior financial analyst, and hopefully soon to some another level. But yeah, it helps a lot in a way that when you're studying this course, you just don't come across accounting, you come across costing, you come across taxation, you come across finance. So you have to use all these topics to come up with something to present to your management on a weekly or monthly basis. And that is really important. If you don't understand present value of money, you cannot calculate it. So you have to understand the concept. If you don't understand inflation, how you can prepare a budget. So that is a very, very important task for me, that I prepare budgets yearly. We have quarterly, or I don't know, I should say every month now, forecast because of all this changing environment, the tariffs. So tariff understanding. So I was also involved with the pricing committee right now, where we were analyzing tariffs, that how it's going to impact my P&L, how much impact it's going to give to the small regions we are trading within Canada and in nearby areas. So a lot of
Yes.
calculation part. Yeah.
Yes, and I hear you're speaking, you play a very strategic role, and I hear you mention tariff, I hear you mention the United States. So I'm wondering if it is that as a CP at your company, are you involved in any sort of conversations about where your company can mitigate some of the tariffs or the trade war or the impending trade war? I'm wondering, where do you fit into that mix as a CPA?
Yeah, so as a CPA, your role is analysis. So if like tariff is imposed on Canada, so of course the prices will increase. We are a consumer-based company. So ultimately it's gonna affect the consumer, the end consumer. So now if my price is increasing, then I have to, like as a CPA, I have to understand that how much it's gonna impact my demand. So it's not only the supply chain team, but the finance team also have to pitch in, like what is their P&L impact. I mean, what do they feel, that how much it's going to affect the P&L, how much customers are going. So if you have ever heard about price elasticity of demand, so as soon as the price increases, the demand goes down. So you have to kind of balance it and come to at a price that, the buyers are not going away. They are buying at a certainly increased price, but then we are also not losing on due to the taxes. So yes, I kind of um, was involved in a lot of discussions, meetings, and analysis with the supply chain team and the new pricing team for all this tariff impact. And it was not a one-time thing, trust me, guys. Like last 6 months were kind of watching the news daily, and kind of tariffs, then retaliatory tariff, then again retaliatory tariff, then taking them back all away. And it was a massacre, seriously.
I can just imagine, right? I know there's a
Yeah.
lot of anxiety in the marketplace.
Yes.
Even when I go to the supermarket, I'm like literally comparing. I'm like, okay, if I go to this supermarket, I'm in supermarkets and I'm looking price checking. I'm like, okay, where do I go, right? So I can see that you have that very cross-functional. You're playing that
Yes,
very
it's very
cross-functional role.
cross-functional.
Yes. Go
And
ahead
it
if you
does not
yes.
end there. I mean, sorry, but because you're talking about roles, it does not end there. Like I have given a price, for example, X. Now the customer, like the sales team says that the customer is not accepting that price. So then again, you have to do something to manage something and release some funds from somewhere so that your P&L does not get impacted. Because ultimately, there are investors sitting on top of you. So you have to ensure that everything is balanced. So yes, if you like analysis, you're a number guy and you don't want a monotonous job daily, like, every month and 10 days busy and then normal work life. You don't like that. Like it's me. Then this
Mm.
is a perfect role, analysis. You'll love it.
Okay. So she I like the fact that Pragya is not only talking about the CPA designation, but she's also selling the role. So if there's anyone on the call who wants to work as an analyst doing what she's doing, you can see that she's adding real value, a lot of value there.
Yep, definitely.
And I remember us having this conversation before, and I'm saying, CPAs are at the crossroads of really what is happening with the United States, with Canada, giving all sorts of advice to organizational players. And I'm wondering what do you enjoy most about your role? I know that you're doing a lot of things, right? But I'm wondering, what do you enjoy the most about your role?
The daily challenges, like every day there is something new. Like, I plan something in the morning that, okay, today I have to do all this, or maybe a day before that, okay, tomorrow this is my checklist for office. But next day I come to the office and the checklist is, I don't know where parked, but I have whole lot other things to do. So because you have ad hoc requests coming in, and then right now, like, we are in the middle of budget, so for 2026, whatever are the requirements. So the best part about this role is that you will not know what is coming in, but it's not something that will disappoint you ever. Like, you have, and especially with this designation, like, as Roger said, that people respect it a lot. So the best part about it is that whenever a request come to me, they seek an answer and they want a discussion and they want my opinion. Like, I am not just someone who is preparing a report and sending it across. I am someone who is in the discussion, that what I feel, what is this analysis saying, and how it is going to impact the company, and they take that into consideration before taking a decision. So I guess that degree makes an impact on how people think about you. So yes.
Yes, so the designation does bring a sort of legitimacy
Yeah.
and make you a part of so many organizational conversations. And I'm seeing a question here in the chat that in the Q&A that I think I'll pose it to you, Pragya. It says, how relevant would the CPA designation be going forward, given the invasive role of artificial intelligence?
Yeah. Well, I think it is an opportunity. Like, right now I'm taking some AI, like, I'm having some e-learnings to do, and it's not something that AI can eliminate you, because ultimately it's in your mind. Like, analysis, anyone can do, AI can do, okay? But the advice you give is the most important. Why do you feel that this will happen? Or why this is important, or why this strategic move is important? So those all things will never go away. So it's important for you to understand that if you consider it as your rival, then there's a problem. But if you adopt it and then bring something out of it, it's gonna be perfect. Like, everything can, like, for example, if you're a tax practitioner, it's not related to my role. Like, for example, as a CPA, you are filing tax, or you're having your own corporation and you are dealing with a lot of clients right now. So in that case, the return filing process can be automated, but the advisory cannot be automated.
Right.
There will be, out of 1,000, one person could rely on AI to take advice, but rest 99 would be definitely someone who need approval from someone. Like, talk to someone, understand what are the different scenarios, how it will go, how does it look. So it's just not related to my role, but to any role. AI can be an input for us. Maybe it would disrupt a little, but if you adopt it, and if you understand it, and then you come up with something, then no one can take you back.
Right. So in other words, AI is just there to kind of help us to do our roles more efficiently, but it's not going to replace the actual business professional.
Definitely.
It's not going to replace the CPA in the room, because the CPA now needs to also, because AI is not always correct either.
Correct.
It is not always correct. It is not always correct. I think I was watching a news report where a company made a business decision based on what was given by AI, and it caused them to lose customers.
And it can replace, maybe, like, it can give correct numbers, but the critical thinking come from you. That cannot be replaced. So as a CPA, that is your job, that you have that critical thinking analysis technique, that seeing the numbers, and the best part about this role, or as a CPA, like what I learned during this course of, like, it took me 6-7 months to prepare to give the exam, and after that, clearing result, everything. So the best thing which came out of this course was my analytical thinking and skills. Now, when I look a P&L, or when I look a sheet, or any financial statement, I can pinpoint, like, why this is looking fishy or something. So that AI cannot point out. Like, it can give you the ratios, it can do some calculations, but ultimately the critical thinking is your part, so it cannot be replaced.
And I love the fact that you've, kind of alluded to some of the, what we call some of the soft skills, some of the enabling competencies that are
Yeah.
in the CPA program. I'm wondering, can you think about any of those enabling competencies and how they have helped you in terms of just delivering or adding value to your company?
Definitely. So if you're doing a normal regular job, you'll just keep on doing the same work on a daily basis. But when you take a designation, people expect more from you. And from where you'll deliver it is through the curriculum you have gone through. So there were a lot of subjects, especially SNG, strategy and governance. So you learn a lot from that, like what are the technical terms or what are the financial terms or other kind of terms used in business environment, and how you should give advice. So as my role, I'm supposed to give some kind of advice with my analysis, like what do I think? So that comes from my curriculum, that what I'm communicating, how I am communicating, how much it is understood by the other person. If not, can I make it more simpler? So yes, communication is very important part, and I guess that the CPA course covers it very well, because not only in strategy and governance, but in all the subjects you will find, like when you appear or when you start preparing, you have to conclude all the time, like all the questions you have to conclude, and your conclusion should be very effective, that it gives a clear message to the person that what you are trying to say. So yes, I would say that, I mean, yes, that is important, and the course has improved it for me for sure.
Yes. So, and this conversation that we're having, part of what is emerging out of it is the fact that not just the technical competencies, because, yes, you need the technical competency, but of course, CPAs need that critical mindset, that critical thinking. And one thing I love that you mentioned is that when you are a CPA, people expect more. So you're not
Yeah.
just there to do the basic administrative work. They expect you to identify problems. They expect you to solve problems, right? Because you are the business expert in the room. I'm wondering, what is your proudest moment so far?
So, before CPA, or I would say not before CPA, but when I started with Revlon, I worked with Revlon. So, I was doing the regular month-end activities, and I don't used to analyze much that time. When I started studying, so 1 month, I saw the numbers and I was not like, I did some analysis and I went to my director and manager, and I was like, that this does not look good. There's some problem, and there are some wrong expenses booked into this account, and not sharing further details, but the amount was big. So they were quite impressed, and I was impressed with myself. And that day I thought that, okay, this is something good, and this course has brought something new in me. I was studying that time, but then I understood that how you have to apply maybe IFRS or your finance things and bring that into your daily work life. Like that is how things are done, I guess. When I studied back like 10 years before as a CA, it was like I was very young. So it was like, okay, I have to give the exam and I'll do job. So you have a different mindset, and I did that, of course. But then first job, you're always, just following whatever is to be done and happy in your own life. Now, as I grew, I understood that, okay, I can actually apply all these things. And so, yeah, it turned out really well. And yeah, that was the proudest moment, because I guess after 4, 5 months or 6 months of my job, I did that on my own, and my director and manager were very, very, very happy that, okay, that's good. That's great. Like, because you found it out on your own. So yeah.
Mhm. Yes, and my final question to you before I go over to Amos is, I know you were talking, I could see the excitement, right, in terms of
Yeah.
the transitioning from not being a CPA to being a CPA.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, if somebody's there, they're thinking about becoming a CPA, if you could tell them in a very quick way, what was that journey like, from working full time and pursuing the CPA designation? You were recently minted CPA. What was that journey like, and what was the most exciting part of it?
I love this question. So, because sharing your experience is amazing. So, firstly, it was really hard to make a mindset that I have to study, I have to go back to studies. And it was like 6 years gap for me, 6 or 7 years. So but when I thought that, okay, I have to do this, and I don't want to, like, give the exam and again and again and repeat the exams. So I know my capability. Like, everyone knows that, how much time you take to study something. So I knew that I'm going to take 6 months at least to complete the whole course, to write the papers. So as you were talking about networking, so I reached out to a lot of people on LinkedIn who were CA like me, and I asked them that if they can suggest me some coaching or how should I study. So most of the response was that you can do it on your own, just give good time. So then I went to the ebooks given by the institute, and I kind of made my whole plan, and I gave strictly 4 hours daily. So I remember I went on a vacation in March. That was my last vacation last year. And the whole summer I was studying. So starting April till September, I gave my exam. I made a point that I'll give 4 hours, 5 hours daily. Oh, sorry, 3 to 4 hours daily and 6 to 7 hours on weekends. And I'll study because that is my capability. I'll need so much of time to go back to studies to make myself strong enough so that I'm in a mindset that, okay, now I can give the exam. And 2, 3 months, I studied very hard all through the ebooks, all the examples. Like I solved each and every example and the problems, like the examples and solutions in the ebook. And after that, I almost solved like 7 to 8 day 2 papers. 20, 25 day 3 papers and 3, 4 day 1 papers. So that was it. And I gave good time to revision. So trust me, guys, like people say that it's too hard, or it is, but if you make your mindset and if you allocate proper time, there's nothing impossible, like
All right.
really.
Thank you so very much, Praga. Again,
No problem.
I'm so proud of you. So
Thank you
proud.
so much. Thank
I
you
know it's
so
a
much.
lot of hard work, and being a
Yeah,
student myself, I know it's a
yeah.
lot of work. And I turn over now to Amos, and Amos is also a recently minted CPA. He's a manager of finance and financial reporting. Amos, I know you started having the conversation about what are some of your responsibilities. So I'm wondering now, give us a little, pick up where Pragya left off in terms of what was that like, becoming a CPA. I think you've been a CPA a year now or months now. Just tell us a little bit about what was that journey like, and then you can go over into speaking about your role as a manager of finance and financial reporting.
Thank you, Robin. And it's hard to follow Pragya and Roger. The stories are amazing. I failed CFE twice. Okay, so I failed the tax paper once. I had to repeat it, and then I failed CFE and I had to repeat it, right? Myself and my wife were both CPAs coming from Kenya, and my wife, while pregnant, quickly ran through this course, all the PEP, electives, CFE, one time passed, less than 15 months, she was done. I, on the other hand, 3 years, it took me 3 years to get the CFE out. So it was a really proud moment after all dealing with all that failure, and I had to catch on with my wife. She's smarter than me, but it was, and I know why I failed. I wasn't listening to advice. I was like, oh, I am already a CPA from Kenya. There's no way this is tougher than that. But eventually I had to be humbled enough to say, you know what, you have to follow what people are telling you to do. So I was able to listen to my wife. I was able to eventually crack it. It's for me, it was more about the preparation, knowing those tricks, and rather than more about reading and the technical aspect. I already knew a lot about that technical aspect. So it was when I got my CPA, I was at home. Or rather, when I got the CFE results, I was at home. I don't think I've been happier than that in my life. CPA gives you legitimacy. You've said that a lot, and it
Don't let
really
your wife hear you say that.
it did give me that legitimacy after I got the CFE. I was a manager pre-getting the CFE, and that purely was because I was coming from public accounting firms. I had worked with KPMG, PwC for a long time. So that experience, to an extent, the employer was looking at it and saying, you know what, yes, you are not a local CPA, but we think you have that experience to do a role of a manager. So I had gotten this job pre-being a Canadian CPA, but I was always scared about what if one day they decide, you're taking too long to get your CFE or your Canadian CPA, and they throw me out of the door, which of course would never happen. But but I was happy to get that. You're a CPA now. I did gloat a lot when I got it. I was showing it to everybody. Hey, look at me. So it was a really wonderful thing for me. My role depends, right? Every day is different, as Pragya and Roger talked about. But right now, currently, on top of what we call business as usual, which is basically making sure that your team is doing its job, the general ledger is good, the journal entries are being posted, they are correct. We are also in budgeting season, that the input on budgets is coming. It's the right input to come. Being a not-for-profit insurance company serving the healthcare sector, there are other pieces about we give money back to the healthcare sector, right? Like, we don't make profits, or if we make profits, we give it back. So a piece of tracking that profit that should be given back is also my role. So on top of just that typical accounting aspect of it, leading a team, mentoring a team, making sure that I also do CPA mentorship. I do have a few of the mentees from here, and some from Kenya, some from Nigeria. I do have a number of those, but on top of all those pieces that I do for me, I do a lot of making sure that accounting is good. We're giving back to the healthcare sector, and now currently we are transitioning into a new system from an old ERP to a new ERP, which is also my responsibility to make sure that that transition is working as expected. It's been pretty busy for me currently. So every day is different, but mostly it's just to make sure that things are moving in the right direction for the department.
Very good. And I'm seeing, quite a lot of responsibilities. And again, congrats on becoming a CPA. Congrats to your wife too. It's a CPA family. It's a CPA family, yes. And now that I know that, Amos, I'm actually going to have both of you for an event. We have a CPA family. But I'm wondering, you talk a lot about some of the things that you oversee. I'm thinking that, or I'm assuming that there must be some things in the CPA program that you use as a baseline or as foundation to kind of help you to kind of deliver each day you have a challenge at work. So can you speak a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I think one of the biggest pieces was the technical aspect. IFRS 17 insurance, the standard that guides insurance reporting is called IFRS 17. Now, during my CPA learning, that technical aspect of learning IFRS 17 was such an important piece, because it was at the time when we were transitioning from IFRS 4 to IFRS 17, a very complicated standard. I don't think there's been a more complicated standard outside of IFRS 9 that's more complicated than IFRS 17. So that knowledge helps me just deal with this complex insurance accounting. We have to work with actuaries, get the data, make sure that the reserves numbers are correct. So that standard has been such an important piece for me to be able to deliver on my role. Another piece of it is I do get to help leadership with strategic planning, financial planning, so that I'm able to give them the right information, so that they're able to do proper strategy for the organization, right? So that piece of making sure that the data I get to them, it's guiding that strategy for the organization. So that I was able to pick up from that strategy and governance paper from CPA. I do also get to present a lot to board meetings. Our organization, HEROC, has other smaller entities. We do have a brokerage. We have a growth stage startup, which is one of those organizations that I had to set up the financial model for, financial processes for, and the procedures. So a lot of that knowledge I picked from CPA. I've used it in building that organization financial processes, right? So a whole lot of what I have learned has helped me be able to present to board meetings, make sure that my communication skills have actually improved, be able to communicate in a strategic fashion, be able to make sure that I'm ticking all those boxes. What does Aspinall say, right? So the standards for not-for-profit, what does do those ones say? Because I had to set up an actual accounting model for this new entity. So a whole lot of what I get to do now, and I was a CPA from Kenya, which is a different type of CPA, because CPA here is a completely different animal, right? So this one here, because of the case analysis type responses, does make you to be able to think critically and think more, right? So that has helped me a great deal to be able, on top of serving subscribers, we call them subscribers instead of customers. We like that name because it sounds better than just dealing with a customer. So on top of being able to, and the CPA title for me too, just putting it after my name, I do tend to see that people are giving me that respect. Let me not say I wasn't getting the respect before. I was, but it does seem to change how people now address you. You no longer have the worry that, oh, I'm not legitimate enough. I do know now that I am. That stamp has been a big piece for me and for my wife.
Yes, yes. Thank you so very much for that, Amos. And I can see the passion. I can see the passion. I can see the operationalization or the actioning of the CPA in your work, in your role. I'm wondering about what are some of your proudest moments so far?
Yeah, I have so many. Also, and one of them was getting the CFI out of the way. That was wonderful, wonderful stuff. But when I started with HEROC, they didn't have an internal audit department. And I was coming from a public accounting firm. They didn't have what in the insurance sector we call an own risk and an own risk assessment document. So when I started here, I took on setting up the internal audit department. So we don't do it internally, so I had to make sure that we were able to procure an internal auditor and the processes were understood. At the same time, I was authoring or drafting that own risk document. It's required by our regulator. Our regulator is called FISRA. So I was able to author, it's an 80-page document, right? So I was able to author that as a first draft until that was completed. Another piece is just leading the IFRS 17 implementation, right? From the public accounting firm to this organization, this insurance company, was able to lead IFRS 17 implementation. IFRS 17 was one of the biggest changes that has happened for insurance companies. So I was able to technically lead that really, really complex project. Also, one of the other pieces I'm really proud of is just building those financial processes for the startup organization. It's called Collaborative Benefits. It's an employee benefit transfer company. That sounds complicated, but all they do is because we already have these subscribers as the healthcare organizations, let's call them customers. We try to get them to get insurance for cheap. We act as a bridge for that. And that insurance is outside of the professional liability insurance that we as HEROC offer. It's more of dental, life, and all of that. So that organization, I was able to set up those financial processes from the ground up because I was here when it started. It's now about 4 years so far, and I've been able to make sure that I've had 3 audits for that organization, and tick mark for every single one of them. So I've had a lot of those proud moments, getting the CPA being on top of it, and definitely just making sure that I've been able to contribute in a way that other people can see for the insurance company I work for. I do have another proud moment while I was working with KPMG in Jamaica. In 2020, they did give me the award of Employee of the Year. So based on how well I performed during that year, how influential I was with the team, how well I was getting those financial reports out. So a lot of professional proud moments.
Yes, a lot of proud moments, and it sounds like you're doing a lot of work where you are now. Sounds like you need a promotion because you're literally building certain things from the ground up. And I love this because when I listen to Roger, when I listen to Pragya, when I'm listening to you, I can see that critical mindset. I can see the CPA designation in action. Right, when you're talking about building things, some of the things you mentioned, I have no clue what they mean, but I'm able to follow. But I can see that critical mindset, building things, coming up with reports, getting passing audit, stuff like that. Those things are really, really, really critical. And I wonder about the fact that, so you mentioned you have very proud moments, but I'm wondering, what do you enjoy the most about your role?
The easy answer will be like the pay. The pay is good. So, but just kidding. Yes, I think two things actually, because the organization I work for has a clear vision. Making sure we safeguard these healthcare organizations, which are really, really important to us. So my work and how it contributes to that is something I'm really proud of. But on top of that, I like the people, and the people here are the best part of my job. As you can tell, I'm very chatty. And and because the chattiness is backed by a lot of technical knowledge and a lot of experience, usually when I chat, I do tend to say meaningful things, not just making noise. So part of what I actually really love, on top of what this healthcare organization does, what our organization, the insurance company does, is interacting with people, trying to help people move forward. I do have two mentees here in this company who are pursuing CPA. So just telling them how they need to worry about this or what they need to do to actually get the CFI and the why they need to get it. Because once you get your CPA, it's a completely different ballgame, right? So I did have someone sitting CFI that I was mentoring just this September, and she was extremely happy on what I was able to tell her or how I was able to guide her, how I was able to just, zero down on those items that I failed because I wasn't caring for. So, so I was able to tell her, just be sure to do this, which I didn't do, and that's why I failed the first time. But more proud about the people, those interactions, us moving together as a team, and me having that CPA at the end of my name does give me that legitimacy on top of, okay, Amos knows a lot of technical accounting. Oh, Amos is also a CPA. So I do see they do tend to listen to me more. And I don't work alone, right? I do have a director, I do have a vice president. So I do not work alone. Just that contribution to those conversations is something I'm really proud of. I recently went attended the CPA Canada conference in Ottawa the other day, and when I came back, on top of people being so happy that, oh, we got to network, I was able to pick up that piece of what is changing in the accounting world, right? So that piece is something I'm really proud of, just making sure that I keep improving so that I can keep improving this organization. And at the risk of talking too much, I'm gonna stop right there. And
I'm timing you, don't worry, I'm timing you. Don't worry, but I'm telling you, you have a really, really compelling story. And again, I'm just happy for this panel. It's the right people in the right place at the right time, having the right conversation, because I'm hearing from you all that technical thing. You know, I'm hearing from Pragya how she's making a difference, especially as it relates to, you know, managing those kinds of risk associated with pricing. I'm hearing from Roger how he adds value in 3 different areas. This is a very, very good conversation. And now I'm going to throw it, we have some time. I'm going to now kind of open the floor, having the conversation with the 3 CPAs now at the same time, but I'll kind of zoom in on specific persons now. And then, of course, I'll hand it over to Anna at about 10 minutes after 1. So I'm wondering, and I'm going to start with Amos, because you're already there. I'm going to ask, how do you, for example, leverage or integrate technology and emerging trends into your current role?
It's a really good question, especially at this time. Yeah. So one thing I should say is because we deal with sensitive information, sensitive customer information, we deal with hospitals. It's about claims, and you'll see all these very sensitive details about these patients that had this certain issue, and so there has been a little bit of slowness in adopting AI because this information does need to be secure. So that piece, the organization is slowly just assessing how far we can adopt AI-related tools. But moving away from that, the leveraging of technology, like right now, we are moving from a system called a Great Plains. It's an old, tired system, and we're moving to a system that will allow us to be able to automate a whole lot of financial reporting. We do a lot of manual type financial reporting, financial analysis, all of that. But moving into this new system that at the forefront of making sure that the testing is good, the transitioning is good. I do foresee that we'll be able to move away from this manual element of it to that, leveraging that technology to help us with reporting, with analysis, with we currently use Power BI. I think that's the only thing I can be proud of, but everybody here knows Power BI, right? But because of the organization and what it deals with, we had to steer a bit away from the AI tools just to make sure that this information that we deal with doesn't get out there in the public and risk lives of people. So I'm gonna stop there. Yeah.
Yes, and thank you so much, Amos. Pragya, over to you, and then over to Roger.
So you want me to answer the same question?
Yes, like how do you integrate, you know, technology into your current role?
Okay, so of course, as Amos mentioned, Power BI is one of the tool which I use almost on a daily basis because it makes your analysis simpler to communicate. Like you can present in charts, diagrams, and I have so many SKUs and so many brands working for which I'm working. So it kind of makes the analysis simple. And Excel, of course, like you are an analyst, so you have to be pro in there. And then we have some internal tools. I'm not sure if you are aware of, but MicroStrategy and something, which we again use for analysis. But yeah, technology plays a very important role. It is not that it makes your work simple, but it makes your work more and more presentable, more precise, and I would say that it eases decision making because if you are having n number of datas or n number of rows and you want to collate it and you want to say that, okay, this one SKU we have launched 6 months ago is not performing at all. It is loss making, or we are incurring huge cost in this. So the management can make a decision that, okay, to discontinue it or to call it back or to run some kind of rollbacks, which you might have seen in Walmart. So this is what things this is how the things happen. So yes, technology plays a very important role. And again, as Amos said, that use technology but wisely so that your data is not out in the public. Very important thing. Like if you're using any kind of technology, ensure that if you're working, then it is in your office server or system and you're not publicly, you're not using any such software which is not part of your corporate, so that your data is not lost. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pragya and Roger.
So I work in municipal government, and unfortunately, we know we're not as tech savvy with technology as the relevance of the world, and for good reason as well, because sometimes technology over presents or over analyzes information, which isn't always audience friendly, if I want to call it that, right? It may use a lot of jargon that might be technology savvy. And sometimes when you're talking about community partners or communities at all, you have to ensure that the information you're portraying is really at various levels of understanding within the community. So from my point of view, we use technology mainly to store data to as a software provider and so on. But when it comes to analysis and charts and those things, we tend to use what we call the human aspect. So I write my reports, I write my analysis because again, we want to tie in the community impact pieces, which you would probably not find on the ChatGPTs of the world. And again, I'm speaking from my nonprofit, municipal government, local government background. We tend to do a lot of that from our point of our own understanding as opposed to technology. Technology is used, yes, but as a software provider to do those kinds of aspects of it. But when it comes to the analysis piece, we don't have a product that discard as the relevance of the world or the Walmarts of the world. So it's more program community-driven decisions that we have to make, which we wouldn't necessarily embrace technology for. So the use in my sector is a little bit different than the corporate sector. And again, it depends on where you come from. I would say technology is important. But again, it's the end user who I would say we would determine how and what we use and how often.
Yes, thank you so very much, Roger, for that. And it's true that, as CPAs, you're using technology in specific ways, right? Because as was said by everyone, that technology will not take away the presence or the relevance of a CPA. And I see a question coming through for Amos from Victoria, and I think this is a really good question. She says, can Amos share more about his learnings about why he failed the CFE, the common final exam twice? What were the specific things you were not doing correct or right?
Yes, I can. Sometimes I just blame the baby. I had just gotten a baby, so just blame the baby. I feel baby was taking too much of my time. But in truth, is I wasn't listening. Like I wasn't following the CPA way. I really wasn't. That's the truth, right? I was coming from a perspective that I knew everything, and I did, right? But there's a specific way to respond to CFE related questions, right? So, and I wasn't also listening to my wife because I was like, I'm a better accountant than you. But I had to humble myself and say, all right, I'm gonna listen. Tell me which one I need a C and which one I need an RC and what an RC actually means, right? So I think it was more about while I was preparing and preparing well, I wasn't allowing that guidance to push me in the right direction, right? So when I allowed that guidance and I was open to it, it sounds easier than it was. Then I was able to pass. So what I try to do now is whenever I have an aspiring CPA come to me and asks me, oh, what should I do for CPA? I do tell them, listen to that guidance. Look at what after CPA marks your Friday's submission, look at everything they tell you you are not doing right.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to, they will do a small summary of what they think you should focus on, and they're very positive with it, right? But listen to that. Just listen to others on top of you dedicating that time to study. And I'm sure most of the people we have here probably are coming as CAs or CPAs from wherever they are coming from. Just
Mm-hmm.
put that aside, forget about it, and just
For a
follow
moment.
follow the CPA way, and that is how you get the CFE out of the way.
Thank you so very much, Amos. And I just, before I hand over to Anne, I just want each of the CPA, just one sentence parting words for our audience, just that one last punch, that one last encouragement. And I'm going to start in this order. So Roger, then Parker, then Amos.
I was hoping you'd give me last. So can I negotiate that?
Go ahead.
You want me to go first?
Oh, yeah, you can go first.
Let's let the female go first. How's that?
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So I just want to say that, guys, all the very best. If you're making a choice to go with CPA, this is the perfect designation for you, and you'll never regret it. And don't take too much of burden about it. Like, you're gonna just rock. Like, it's perfect, I would say. That all the very best.
Thank you. All right, Amos, go ahead, then Roger.
It does change how people look at you, how people treat you. You should know that. But what I can say is, from my experience, if you fail once, just do it again. All right? Just until you get it out of the way. Do not give up. It's a lot of work, but if you fail, just go back, re-strategize, and do it again.
Thank you. Roger.
I usually go into my exam with a little sticky note that says, I will not fail. So make sure you do that. 2, AI will never be able to replace the job of accountant, so you're choosing an excellent career path. And 3, you've got this. Thank you, Robin.
Yes. Thank you so very much, Roger, Pragya, Amos. Amazing, just amazing, inspiring, compelling stories. Thanks to everyone who's here, and I'm throwing it over to Anne. Just want to say one quick thing that we do on our end from CPA Ontario. We do have an Own Your Future Career and Job Fair on August 8th. It's an in-person event. We have over 15 employers so far, including the Big Four. If you are in the GTA, please register. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to Anne for any information. Thank you, everyone, and I'll throw it over to Anne. Go ahead.
McMaster Continuing Education offers 2 programs that contain courses. We offer our diploma in accounting. We offer a certificate in advanced accounting. And the courses under those programs are the equivalent to undergraduate level courses. They have been vetted through CPA and are recognized by CPA as meeting the equivalencies to the prerequisites for entrance into PEP. So for those of you who had posted questions and wanted to know about the prerequisites and studies and completing them through continuing education, our courses can help you get there. So we can help you kind of move along the pathway of the prerequisite studies that are necessary for entrance into the professional education program. Our programming, and we've set ourselves up at McMaster Continuing Ed to be very flexible. The majority of our students are working. The majority have families. They have outside lives that prevent them from accessing full-time studies. So our programming is flexible. It's open enrollment. There's no application process. You register in the courses that you need to satisfy either your prerequisites to get into PEP, or for those who are looking for a McMaster credential, you can actually work in tandem with pursuing your CPA, work towards completing our McMaster credential, and either graduate with a McMaster University diploma in accounting, or for those who have already completed foundation level studies, you can take our certificate in advanced accounting and use those credits towards CPA preparatory courses. So we offer courses in virtual, which basically replicates our in-person. Transition to that format when COVID hit, and we've remained in the virtual world, if you will. Those courses are very structured. It's on a semester basis, and they have regular sessions, weekly sessions with an instructor. In addition to that, we offer what we call our online self-study, and that gives you a little more flexibility, if you will, to basically study within a schedule that suits your needs and availability. So certainly in the interest of time, I just want to thank Robin for helping organize today's session and for co-hosting. And I'd like to send a particular thank you to Amos, Pragya, and Roger for sharing your insights, sharing your experience. It's been invaluable. I personally have am leaving today's session with a lot more than what I came in with, certainly from the perspective of what it means to be a CPA. And it's so true. You're more than just bean counters. I mean, you're visionaries, you're leaders, you take a holistic approach. And I think if there's anything to take away, that's certainly what I'm taking away from today. And I hope those who attended today's session take that away as well. Robin, any final words?
Just as you said, thanks to everyone for being here. CPAs, as somebody said, and I think somebody kind of captured it, says kudos to organizers, panelists, and fellow attendees. All the very best. Thank you all. Power pack session. I think that sums it up for me.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thanks,
great day.
everybody. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.